XML is the future. Now, this is strange to me because guess what? XML was the past. I remember when I was a youngster, a young individual, XML versus JSON, some sort of paper, academic paper. I'm sure you can find it. Look at that. That's I wrote this paper right there. Boom. Shazam. I always thought XML was the past, but it turns out XML might actually be the future. So let's find out right now. Summary. My first hype exposure was use the extensible markup language for everything. Learning from it allowed me to live through the front-end stack explosion, the microservice overdose, and many, many more silly trends. Man, wait till I hear about React. It turns out grandma was right. Eat vegetables, exercise, sleep well. This is great advice right here. And use the right tool for the right job. Well, she didn't say the last one, but she could have. Well done, grandma. Well done. I appreciate that. Hype cycles. When I started programming, XML was going to replace everything. HTML was XHTML. Validation with DTD. I don't remember all this crap, but I know that there was things like that. Transformation and presentation with XSLT. Communication with SOAP. I remember when SOAP, I somehow dodged the SOAP bullet. I don't know how I dodged it. I think the moment I started thinking more and more about login and all that was just at the very beginning of OAuth. And so I was using OAuth, I was using Yahoo Mail as a login. And I just missed the whole SOAP movement. And my goodness gracious, have I ever been happy I missed that one. Because I had a lot of friends all working and they're all using SOAP and it looked awful. It seemed so bad. I missed the train on the OOP hype. Oh, I didn't. Dude, I was a clean coder at one point. I had abstract base factories. I knew all the design patterns, decorators. Dude, I was great. That was the generation before me. Okay, stop calling me old. But I have read so many articles warning me about it that I applied the reasoning to XML. Oh, that's good. That's solid. Let's wait and see if it actually as good as they... Oh, my goodness. Let's wait and see if this is actually as good as they say before investing everything into it. Okay, hold on. This is 2023. No one said XML has been good in what appears to be years, so I'm a little bit curious what he means by this. Turns out XML was not the future. It was mostly technical debt. Okay, good. Okay. It was useful for things like documents. I believe the most successful use of it are still MS Office and LibreOffice formats. They are just zips of XML. Okay. I was lucky to learn this lesson very early in my career. There is no silver bullet. Any single tool, no matter how good it is, must be evaluated from the engineering point of view of pros and cons, and there's also Rust, which is perfect in all situations. Everything has a cost and implies compromise. It's a matter of ROI, radio over internet, which is hard to evaluate without experience. This is actually a really amazing paragraph, by the way. This is very, very true, and I think that we've kind of gone in the opposite direction in some sense. For those that aren't a part of the JavaScript world, is that at some point, people were really skeptical about JavaScript, right? We're like, oh, it's a pretty bad language. We're not too sure about it. And now we've kind of entered a day and age where it's just like, you're not using TypeScript. You're just using the wrong thing. That's the wrong tool for the job. The only tool is TypeScript. And, right now, me and some of my coworkers, we're struggling because one of the many problems is that I can't even get these protobuf definitions to come down because you can't have safe integers within 2 to the 53, right? And so it's like you can't have nanoseconds. And so that just completely destroys some of the timings in which we're trying to send via protobufs. And it's just like you run into problem after problem, ESM, all these things. Holy cow. It's not always the right tool, though I do think it can be the right tool. You know what I mean? It can be. Just not always. Stop making it always. Bottom line, time is once again the great equalizer. There is no substitute to observe how a complex system evolves, no matter your model of the world. But above all, I learned that geeks think they are rational beings while they are completely influenced by buzz, marketing, and their emotions and Twitter influencers. Even more so than the average person, because they believe they are less susceptible to it than normies. And so they have a blind spot. This is actually really good. This is amazing. Hold on. Okay, just let a man continue reading. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. You need to eat more. So you need to eat more protein to get proto buffed. Thanks for the contribution to this article, and I appreciate this. But truly, this is actually a really good observation, which is if you don't think that you're susceptible to having dumb reasoning, then you're going to have dumb reasoning. You know? And so it begins. XML was just the beginning of many, many waves of hype. When MongoDB came around, its web scale, suddenly you had to use NoSQL for everything. Didn't matter that there was absolutely no relation between two NoSQL systems. It's like labeling a country as doesn't speak English. It doesn't matter MongoDB was a terrible product at the time that was destroying your data. They fixed that. It's now a good DB to have in your toolbox. Didn't matter that most people using it didn't need free replication because their data could fit in SQLite file. This is good. So we watched beginners put their data with no schema, no consistency, and broken validation in big bag of blobs. The project began failing in large numbers. I've experienced it. In fact, right now, Netflix, we're experiencing a little bit of a little MongoDB squeal issue right now, in fact. We're kind of replacing the tires while driving the car right now. Then the Node era arrived. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Isomorphic JavaScript. This has been the bane of so many engineering hours. The amount of time that has been spent for isomorphic JavaScript, which, by the way, I hate that term in general, was all the rage. Gosh, so much. You know how many is nodes, is web, window, type of window equals undefined? You know how much crap exists because of that one, because of this concept. Whoopsies. I didn't mean to do that. Prototype. Oh, I hate oh my goodness. I accidentally clicked that and it's disgusting. Dude, stop. I'm clicking things. I can't stop. There's too many links. Stop it. Was all the rage. And you had to use the same language in the front end and the back end and make everything async, but JS sucked. So most JS projects were created to avoid writing ES5. I mean, no imports, no namespace, terrible scoping, schizophrenic this, prototype-based inheritance, weak types. Come on. So we got CoffeeScript. I hated CoffeeScript. I still, to this day, remember the feeling I had when I was using Atom, the first hackable editor. Kind of excited that, hey, I'll try hacking on this. And I opened up my first project to discover it was CoffeeScript. And I thought, wow, that's strange. CoffeeScript. That has to be a peculiarity. Opened up the next project. CoffeeScript. Huh. What are the chances that two plugins I looked at used CoffeeScript? Okay, whatever. Opened up a third one. CoffeeScript. And then it dawned on me. Atom is just one big-ass CoffeeScript lover. And it was true. They loved CoffeeScript. They used CoffeeScript for everything. And it just, I cannot even believe it. Then Babel, Webpack, TypeScript, React, plus JS, etc. We were told to stay on top of the most modern ecosystem. And by that, I mean dealing with compatibility being broken every 2 months. That's the price of cutting edge, tree shaking transpilation. Love this. I love that statement so much. That and the left pad, a way of life you couldn't debug because the map files were generated wrong. Oh, wait till they see about implicit returns and how those map files get generated. Beautiful. I love reading code where it's just massive pojos for every single return statement ever inside your declaration file. I love that because I would hate to have to read a named return type. Instead, I'd rather just see giant swaths of just properties all thrown in there. Because to me, that's where the real magic happens. You know what I mean? At this point, everything needed to be a single-page application with client-side routing, immutable data structures, and some kind of store. That is, if you could choose between Flux, Redux, Alt, Reflux, Flumux, Fluxible, Fluxor, Marty.js. By the way, this sounds like the interview with the senior JavaScript engineer, right? But this actually just might be. I didn't realize that Flumux and Fluxible and Fluxor were real things. I thought it was a joke in that thing, but it turns out it might not be. Marty.js, Finks, MacFly, DeLorean.js, Fluxify, Fluxery, XM, Fluxstore, Redx, Flux. No, I'm not making that up. No, this can't be real. Marty, McFly, DeLorean. That cannot be real. What about Ken? What's Ken Wheeler doing? Ken, what do you want, Ken? Is that Ken Wheeler's doing? Yo, that's Ken. Was that Ken Wheeler? Oh, was that Ken Wheeler this whole time? Oh, he's in here somewhere. Oh, Ken Wheeler, McFly is by Ken Wheeler. Let's go, Ken Wheeler. That's pretty beautiful. I'm happy that happened. All right. Let's see. But because you still had to pass a lot of data through the wire, and since everything had to be on the client, GraphQL was born. Well, I mean, technically, Falcor and GraphQL were talking about various strategies. Okay. Of course, all that stuff had terrible accessibility. SEO was first rendering time issues, leading to the rise of server-side rendering, aka CGI with extra steps. Oh my goodness, I love it. This couldn't stop there, and so community added hydration on top of that. This turned out to be an immense addition in complexity and created tons and tons of disposable code base, leading to you get it, failed projects and waste of money. Because, of course, most of those tasks could have been done with Ruby on Rails, Symfony, Django, and a pinch of jQuery. At least they would have been finished with these boring texts. Instead, dead projects began to accumulate, and for one Figma shining, you had a trail of hidden bodies behind corporate walls nobody dared to talk about. I just love, I mean, don't get me wrong. I remember the jQuery days. It was not great, okay? Docker is incredible. Where we've gotten to is definitely different. But man, I remember the days of just jQuery and stuff, and it, like, you created pretty big websites off of just, like, really simple stuff. And there wasn't, like, a lot of JavaScript. I mean, all the things that I created back in the day were all, like, single-page applications, not using, like, a ton of stuff. Don't talk about Knockout.js, Moo tools. Oh, yeah. Oof. This is pretty funny. It was a taboo to speak about this madness. You were the one not getting it. It's a revolution. You think people drowning while they try to produce basic CRUD apps would have been a red flag. Instead, it inspired teams everywhere in the world to make things harder on themselves. First, the everything should be a microservice crowd started to take over. Every single small website had a Docker container for the REST-ish API, plus one for the front end, plus one for the database, indirection layers on top of indirection layers. To communicate between all that, why not add a little message queue, 0MQ, RabbitMQ, and a good exchange format like gRPC with protobuf. Let's go. Believe it or not, it became very hard to make your to-do list app work with all of those. And so solution was found. Adding orchestration, Docker Swarm, and now Kubernetes. This is actually really funny. Like, there is something really true in all this. Whether or not it's actually like, you know, I don't know if I want to return to Monkey, but I don't think that this is wrong either. You know what I mean? Like, when I see server-side React components and just, like, that whole thing going on, it just makes me go, you know, did we jump the shark? Is everything now just downhill forever? Because we're just choosing the constant intensity of just, like, a bajillion dependencies and an intense amount of forward knowledge. Like, the hard part is that people who've been in the industry for a long time, this makes sense because you've watched it grow over time. But those that haven't been in the industry, they have to learn like 15, 20 different types of libraries to understand it in general, which is really kind of wild. This does remind me of Warren Buffering's tweet. If you haven't seen this one, it was a pretty good one. Let's go in here and let's go Warren Buffering. Where is it? Where's your beautiful one? This one right here, which is just like, there's a lot. We have a lot of configuration. There's a lot of underlying things that are happening here just to, like, progress forward. Are we actually doing the right thing here? I don't know. It's just kind of a challenge, you know? I don't know if I want Monkey, but maybe I do. I think HTMX is really, really interesting. You know what I mean? HTMX is really, really, really interesting. At this time, so much time and money were obliterated, the cloud felt like a savior. They will do all that for you for a fee. You just have to learn an entire way of doing things, debug their black box, be locked into their ecosystem, and carefully optimize and configure using state-of-the-art templated YAML files and hostile UIs your entire project, so that you could only spend 10 times more on hosting and not 10,000 times by mistake. That's funny. Easy. Stab at serverless. Second, big data arrived. You had to store every single click of your user, A/B test everything as well, so that you consistently annoy 10% of your customers and make support unbearable. Now the data you had was gigantic, and if it was not, you had to believe it, and you needed some kind of Dynamo data lake, or maybe a time series DB, or a graph one. You need something, that's for sure. We have we have a lot at Netflix. By the way, we're going to Netflix, by the way. Third of all, your stuff was now getting very slow. It was not because of the terrible technical decisions leading to use Google-level industrial architecture for your 100 requests per second website. No, it was because you used a slow language. Let's rewrite everything and go. Or Rust. The compilation step is not going to have any impact on feedback loop anyways, since our CI pipeline already takes 73 minutes. Let's go! That was the last straw. So out of the tiredness, devs went back to the simple ways. Just kidding. They went to flock to serverless lambdas and SaaS services you call from the edge, because not owning your stack is the future. Building products you don't need. Meanwhile, the blog posts about burnout were increasing tenfold. Somewhere at the top, leaders heard the call of money. You can't grow without making everything social. Gamify, gamify, gamify. Blockchain will change the universe. You need AMP website. Your stuff is not competitive without machine learning. If you live through all of those, you'll know what remains about it. Almost nothing. A few share buttons and a login with workflows. Some points and badges, graphs. Things either died or filled the niche they were good at, as they should. Some are replaced by the future of today. This is like fantastic. This article is really good. I am shocked. I like the new hype. Yagni is popular again. Projects like Vue, HTMX. Okay, first off, again, HTMX still won't follow me. Okay, what is this HTMX? Okay, I'm following you. We were both made in Montana. Oh, well, actually, I was made in Montana. You're just like a transplant coming in there claiming Montanian status. You know what? You're coming on prime time, and you're gonna defend your positions, HTMX. Okay? Arr! HTMX. Arr! Let's see. Alpine.js or just vanilla are just getting traction. There's even a talk coming back to using Postgres for most things. 37 Signals is on the spotlight once more because they left the cloud. That's DHH, everybody. He also thinks types are stupid. So, I mean, I don't know how much you could trust this guy. This guy's like, oh, yeah, this guy's the arbiter of truth, except for some of his ideas are just absolute horse shit, right? All right. It will, of course, be overdone because minimalism being hyped is still, well, hype. You do need the cloud, containers, NoSQL, Go, Rust, and JS build systems. Modern software requires customer expectations. Incredible new features are not to be ignored. Just not for everything. Nothing is ever needed for everything. I loved this article. Nobody has time for Python. Thank you. Thank you, nobody has time for Python. This was awesome. I'm very happy that the solution to all these problems is just rewrite it in OCaml. Because now, guess what? We finally can achieve the future we all wanted. OCaml and HTMX. Let's go. Let's go. Going back to monkey, people. It's going to be fantastic. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. The name is the Montana Gen.